the part where Joe Biden directed the DOJ to do anything? Where is that?
Well, you think the entire weaponization of the American justice system against Trump in the last year, Biden had no involvement whatsoever?
Conjecture, innuendo, no evidence. No evidence. No evidence whatsoever.
Do you have proof of that?
I don't need proof of it. It's obvious.
Everything is so f***ing stupid. Donald Trump has made everything so stupid. Everything sucks. Friends, if you have a second or two, click like, comment down below. I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys, and I hope you enjoy the video. Okay.
If he would have said, I love my son, it's my only surviving child from my first marriage, I honestly don't know many Americans who would disagree with him. But that's not what he said.
Hunter's laptop tells you the story. You don't have to be a journalist.
Do you actually support what Biden has done?
Absolutely, 100%.
Wow.
Guys, oh, my beeper's going off. Sure, Dusky's a bitch. Oh.
This is giving me a very bad reputation of female comics that people already don't think are funny.
I raised millions of dollars for that campaign. I did not find out until after she lost. $2.5 million was spent on Oprah.
Opportunistic grifters like Lindy Lee, who has posited herself as someone who actually cares about American democracy. No one has to pay you. It's all about influencerdom, right?
Now you're changing her story. Don't change your story.
That was fun. Is it like that every night here?
It can be. It can be. With a single flick of his presidential wand, Joe Biden protected Hunter, his son, from ever facing federal charges for any crimes he committed or even may have committed over more than a decade. The sweeping and extraordinary breadth of this magic trick has staggered supporters and opponents alike, even casting a spell of silence over the most notable defenders of the indefensible.
I got nothing for you on that.
Can I follow up on that? Are you concerned with the lack of transparency, lack of honesty around Biden's decision?
As I said, I got nothing for you on that. Nope.
That pardoning anyone on the way out of office, family members, sets a poor precedent.
Thank you. I've got nothing for you on that.
But the question is, they've talked about January 6th pardons. This is a playbook for incoming President Trump. Isn't this a problem? Did he not establish a bad precedent for pardons?
I got nothing for you on that. Any other subjects?
Never thought the day would come when Chuck Schumer had nothing for us. Nothing. But what could he say? This is the problem for the Democrats. There are no other subjects right now that anyone wants to talk about.
What's up, buddy?
And there will be no other subject when the outrage machine sputters into life to ransack President Trump's wave of pardons in the new year, which is inevitable. Even Gavin Newsom has broken ranks, telling Politico that he took Joe Biden at his word and cannot support the decision. In other words, he trusted him, got lied to, and feels betrayed. It's a total subjugation of the Democratic moral high ground, a rout. Just a few wearied soldiers remain, wandering listlessly across a deserted battlefield.
I respect it as a parent. I understand why he would do it, but I wonder to understand why lie about it for so long.
I'd stop calling it a lie.
Okay.
No, Whoopi, it is a lie. And Biden lied and lied and lied himself. And he told his press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, to go to the White House press room and lie to the world's media again and again and again. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't something he suddenly thought of. He'd obviously always planned to do this. But Biden repeatedly and emphatically said to the world on camera he would not pardon Hunter, his son. He was the adult in the room, the last bastion of democracy and constitutional norms, the staunchest defender of a justice system that treated everybody, as he said, as equals under the law, and that nobody would be above the law, except, as it turned out, his own son. Biden lied because it's an election year and the hypocrisy is inexcusable. Yes, of course, you are the poor aforementioned Karine Jean-Pierre.
It's just, I'm sorry, in the era of Trump, I can't possibly give a fuck about this. Like, if we lived in quote unquote normal times and we didn't just go through the last 8 years of the impacts of Donald Trump, and we're not about to head into another 4 years of just a cascade, a deluge, a typhoon of lies, corruption, incompetence. You know, Donald Trump pardoned there were like over 100 pardons that were very obviously done for political reasons to reward loyalty. He pardoned Jeanine Pirro's husband of tax evasion. A Fox News host's husband was convicted of felony tax evasion, and and this was like one out of like over 100 political pardons. Roger Stone, Manafort, Charles Kushner, Dinesh D'Souza, just dozens and dozens and dozens of Republican connected people. Scooter Libby, you know, there were other people like Kodak Black and Lil Wayne and stuff like that, but I mean, it was just the breadth and depth of those pardons. It's just, it renders all, like, again, if we lived in quote unquote normal times, right? If Mitt Romney had won in 2012, you know, and then lost in 2000, and then Biden won in 2020, and then he did this pardon, like, I would be sitting here saying, like, this is kind of fucked up. I don't like this, but I just don't care anymore. I don't give a the fact that you're asking me to spend energy giving a about this is laughable to me. I don't. Why would it, like, this is the 50th thing that I'm thinking of today in terms of what's relevant. The Kash Patel nomination for the FBI is so much more impactful than this pardon. Donald Trump nominated a guy who very openly references a list of political enemies that he intends to use the Department of Justice to go after. It's everything that the Republicans accused Biden of doing on crack to the 100th degree. Imagine if Biden in 2020 had nominated, I don't even know, what would be, let's say he nominated Cenk, and Cenk was like, I'm going to use the FBI to go after this list of Biden opponents, and we're going to make their lives hell. Republicans pretend like, well, you know, like, if you didn't want Trump to nominate Kash Patel, then you shouldn't have sicked the DOJ on Donald Trump. Meanwhile, there's no evidence. There's no evidence that Biden tried to influence the DOJ to go after Trump. There's no evidence of this whatsoever. In fact, the biggest criticism that I hear from a lot of lefties and liberals is that Merrick Garland waited too long to appoint a special counsel. They think that Merrick Garland should have initiated an investigation day one into Donald Trump and brought charges like 6 months into Biden's presidency. So there's evidence to the contrary. Like there is no evidence that Biden tried to personally intervene in any of these criminal cases. And yet Republicans think that Biden wielded the DOJ as his personal political tool. And now they see the nomination of Kash Patel as like the chicken's coming home to roost. And it's not. It's just this guy is talking about going after people in the media. He's talking about going after journalists. Kash Patel is talking about going after people in the media who enabled Biden to rig the 2020 election. And that's going to be the guy who is the FBI director. To me, that is so much more worthy of discussion than the Hunter Biden pardon. I just can't possibly be made to give a
You have said repeatedly yourself since the election, the president has said for months, no pardon was coming. I wanted to ask you, could those statements now be seen as lies from the American people? Is there really a credibility issue here given now this announcement?
First of all, one of the things that the president always believes is to be truthful to the American people. That is something that he always truly believes. And if you see the end of his, I assume that you've read his statement, and you look at the end of that statement, and he actually says that in the first line in the last paragraph.
Unbelievable. Here is that last paragraph. Biden said, for my entire career, I've followed a simple principle.
Sheesh, there's video of that healthcare guy being shot. There's like surveillance video of it. This dude just walks up with a silencer and just murks this guy. Jesus.
Just tell the American people the truth. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system. But as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process and led to a miscarriage of justice. There's no old shortcut in journalism. If you want to cut to the actual truth, don't believe anything before the but. You can't simultaneously have faith in the justice system and believe that everyone is beholden to the law, but also believe it's corrupted and beholden to politics. Joe Biden flew 7,000 miles away from this crisis of his own making to give a speech in Angola. Luckily, it won't take him long
This is a random aside. These were my top artists of Spotify. Dude, Hans Zimmer always dominates my Spotify playlist. The last literally like 4 or 5 years, Hans Zimmer's been my #1 artist. Radiohead's always going to be in the top 5 for me. Radiohead's always going to be in the top 5. Fiona Apple, she came out with a couple songs in the 90s that ended up being like commercial hits, and then she sort of disappeared. She appeared at some award show and was like, awards are bullshit. This is all bullshit. And then she just stopped getting a lot of airtime on MTV and stuff like that. And she has a whole discography. She's released like 4 or 5 albums since then. I've never listened to these albums. And I went back and I listened to these albums this last year, and they're amazing. She is an incredible artist. Like it literally, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It's like Radiohead, like every song, every album. It's like all really good. And then Ludwig Göransson, because of the Oppenheimer soundtrack is like one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. So I was listening to the Oppenheimer soundtrack quite a bit. And then Kendrick Lamar is great. So the top songs, my #1 song was this banger on the Dune 2 soundtrack. Everything in its right place. And then a couple songs on Oppenheimer, and then one song from Queen's Gambit on Netflix, which has a really good soundtrack. I like my list this year. It's a good list. Anyways, sorry.
Get home.
I'm probably the most pro-rail guy in America.
Right, J15, yeah.
I've ridden over 1,300,000 miles on a daily basis to my work, 220 miles a day for the last 50 years. Well, I didn't do it as president. I stayed in the White House a lot.
You didn't travel 1.3 million miles a day, did you, Joe Biden?
Oh my God. Oh my God. He clearly misspoke and then corrected himself immediately. What is this overly dramatic reaction? He corrected himself immediately. Really? I hope he spends as much time correcting Donald Trump's gaffes that are inevitably coming as he ages, right?
I'm probably the most pro-rail guy in America. I've ridden over 1,300,000 miles on a daily basis to my work, 220 miles a day for the last 50 years.
So he says 1.3 million on a daily basis, immediately clarifies and says 200 miles a day for 50 years. Like it was a minor misspeak. This is, of all the gaffes to choose from, this one is not. Like, who gives a about this one? Are you kidding me?
Well, I didn't do it as president. I stayed in the White House a lot.
Get those clicks, though. Get those clicks while you can, okay? Because that gravy train is leaving the station. The Biden gaffe machine, the content machine that is Biden, you only got a couple more months of that, okay?
You didn't travel 1.3 million miles a day, did you, Joe Biden?
He's so dramatic about this.
It's embarrassing. This is the leader of the free world still. This is the president of the United States. As I speak, there's breaking news. Apparently he's fallen asleep during a meeting with African leaders in Angola. The Telegraph and Forbes both reporting he was visibly dozing. It's a farce. But it's worse than that, because Joe Biden presented himself as the opposite of Donald Trump, who he called a liar, a hypocrite, a shameful opportunist. We all remember what he called Trump. And then, by pardoning his son and making him above the law and making him unaccountable to the law, Biden proved himself to be a liar, a hypocrite, and a shameless opportunist. I think I speak for both Democrats and Republicans when I say that January the 20th can't come soon enough. Well, join me now to discuss all this is the founder of the...
You're going to miss him. You're going to miss Daddy Biden when he's gone, okay? A year from now, you're going to be like, God, remember 2024? Mark my words. This is a good sweater, actually.
The 1776 Project PAC, Ryan Godusky, the streamer Destiny, the co-host of Verdict with Ted Cruz, Ben Ferguson, and host of the Bituation podcast, Francesca Fiorentini. Well, welcome to all of you. Destiny, let me start with you. You got anything? Or are you taking a Chuck Schumer defense?
No, I think if a pardon is going to exist as a presidential power, I think this is the perfect time to use it.
Really? Even when you've told the world repeatedly, I'm not going to do that, and that everyone should be beholden to the law.
I think the mistake, if Biden made a mistake, it was to say that he wasn't going to do it.
You think?
Especially after seeing the nomination of people like Kash Patel, I think it is absolutely in good prudence to use it here rather than allow Hunter Biden to be the subject of infinite investigations for the next 4 years of Trump's presidency.
You mean how the liberals put Trump through all the criminal investigations?
Well, no, because Trump has criminal immunity from the Supreme Court, and all of his federal court cases are now dismissed, and the case in New York never had a sentencing and probably won't get one. So, no, they wouldn't be the same thing.
You seem very phlegmatic about all this, Destiny, when inside you must be hurting. Because what Joe Biden has done with one flick of his pen is he has taken away all the high moral ground that the Democrats could have had against Trump.
If you say so, Piers, we'll revisit that claim in about 6 months, and we'll see how that claim is holding up. We'll see for posterity. We'll see how that holds up
for the next 4 years, because Trump can now pardon who the hell he likes. He can pardon every January the 6th protest.
He was going to anyways. All right, I'm sorry. I got to pace myself.
Tester, and he can do it in the sure knowledge that the moment people like you go, this is
no, I have to. Piers, he ran on pardoning January 6 people. He ran on this. He's been telegraphing these pardons for over a year. Like, he's been telegraphing these pardons for like 2 years. It was part of his platform. It's literally part of his platform to pardon the January 6 prisoners. And you're saying that Biden pardoning Hunter is the reason why he's going to get away with this? Like, I don't even know what we're talking about.
Outrage. How can you do this? He goes, you know what? At least they went to prison. Hunter Biden didn't do a day.
This is the two of the easiest questions in the world. Piers, one, if he doesn't pardon Hunter, do you think that influences Trump's decisions at all and who he pardons next?
That wasn't what I said. I said it removes your ability.
Absolutely
no,
not.
Destiny.
Number two.
It removes.
Number two.
Hang on. Let me answer number one first.
What have Democrats gotten for the moral high ground for the last 4 years?
Let me answer number one first. In answer to number one,
yeah.
Huh? In answer to number one, my point to you was, if he does, and I'm sure he will, you on the left have absolutely no way to now play the high moral ground, because your guy, the president, did it even worse.
What is that? What is the high moral ground? We're down a Supreme Court pick. We lost the 2000 presidency to another Supreme Court. The president now has infinite criminal immunity. What is the moral high ground gotten the Democrats up to this point? There's no point in engaging in norms when only one side upholds the norms. And to sit here, you want to talk about a farce, to pretend that Donald Trump's future pardon decisions are going to be based on who Biden decides to pardon is hilariously stupid. And if you want to talk about pardons, something that you never will hear, why not talk about some of Trump's pardons? How much time do we give to the pardon of Bannon or Stone, who was pardoned for crimes that were literally relating to covering up other crimes from Donald Trump? How many people care about that? Nobody. Where's the accountability for that? Nowhere.
You know
and
the
what's
difference?
the result of those investigations? They're all canceled. So
you know the difference?
I don't want to hear anything about Hunter Biden's pardon. It's a joke.
How many days in prison did Stone and Bannon and those guys do?
I'm pretty sure. Didn't Stone get clemency before he ever stepped foot in prison?
Stone never saw any prison time. Manafort spent probably a couple years, I want to say, right?
Yeah. He was sentenced to 40 months in prison, and then Trump pardoned him.
The day before, he got clemency. Also, forget Stone. It's not about how much time did Stone spend in prison. It's about Donald Trump evading responsibility and culpability because Stone didn't have to testify about him. He said it publicly. He said, oh, Donald Trump, why would I squeal on the president? And then he didn't say anything to Congress. He told another witness not to. And then when he got convicted of all those crimes, Trump said, oh, I'll pardon him. So don't talk about Hunter Biden's pardon. It's an absolute joke.
But of course, the reason that Joe Biden...
And watch, Piers never addresses the substance of what his detractors say, ever. He will deflect to something else right now. I don't know what he's going to deflect to, but watch.
Bring in Ben.
Not to. And then when he got convicted of all those crimes, Trump said, oh, I'll pardon him. So don't talk about Hunter Biden.
Destiny makes the extremely valid point that it is embarrassing and absurd to try to moralize and lecture anybody about the Hunter Biden pardon when we're talking about Donald Trump. It is ridiculous. And now what's he going to say?
Biden's pardon. It's an absolute joke.
But of course, the reason that Joe Biden, we're bringing Ben Ferguson here, the reason that Joe Biden seems to have started this wide-ranging, all-encompassing free pass for Hunter from the year that he began at Burisma, where he had no experience, to be earning $1 million a year on the board of an energy company in Ukraine, when Joe Biden was the vice president, literally put in charge of American-Ukraine relationships, is that it may well cover other crimes that may have been committed in relation to that, which might have led to the big guy, as people have reported, who might end up being Joe Biden.
I am taking crazy pills. Literally, I am. But I feel like I'm taking like other crazy pills. David Wise, the prosecutor that Trump appointed, the one that was in charge of investigating Hunter Biden since 2018, spent several years investigating Hunter Biden's finances, his business dealings, and decided that his office didn't have sufficient evidence to bring charges. That's the legal process. That's the legal process. He was allowed to stay on under Merrick Garland, appointed by Biden on his watch. This guy who was investigating Biden's son was allowed to stay on. He wasn't asked to resign. He investigated Hunter for several years and didn't find enough evidence of crimes to that he thought would be sufficient to convince a jury. That's the legal process. That's how that process plays out. So you're bringing, and House Republicans since 2022, this House Oversight Committee led by Comer, Jim Jordan, he's on that subcommittee as well. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she showed revenge porn. She showed a naked picture of Hunter Biden on a poster board in a public subcommittee hearing. They've been investigating the Biden family for the last 2 years as well. They have subpoena power. They had access to bank records. They couldn't find any wide-ranging crimes. Comer keeps alluding to these crimes, like, we think we found these crimes. Okay, why didn't you impeach? Why didn't you refer Joe Biden to the DOJ for criminal prosecution? What are you accusing them of doing? What is your evidence? And then Piers Morgan just gleefully repeats these innuendos that Joe Biden was criminally and corruptly involved with his son's business dealings. It's such bullshit.
So in a way, you know, he's providing a blanket immunity, which I know Destiny's very upset about immunity, to the Biden family here.
Yeah, look, I think Hunter Biden's pardon was much more than just Hunter Biden. Forget the corruption of Hunter Biden for a second. I think
he's going to imply that Joe Biden was involved. There's no evidence. They've never presented any evidence to substantiate the claim that Joe Biden was involved in his son's business dealings, but he's going to do it right now.
I think this was the pretext, and I'm going to make a prediction here, to a mass amount of pardons that are about to be coming down from this White House in the closing days of this administration, because they put together a list of people they believe have probably broken laws. They put it out there in the media over the last 24 hours, and they're justifying his brother and anybody that took money with the Biden last name, anybody that was corrupt at the FBI, anybody that was going out.
Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter. He does kind of look like him, huh?
After Donald Trump, the list, and they're trying to say that it's
Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, and I can't do it now. It's
somehow
hard.
Donald Trump's enemies list. So therefore, we are justified in handing out pardons to everyone that was involved in the Biden crime family or abusing their power to go after Donald Trump. And so I don't really care that much about Hunter Biden's pardon. Of course, this was always going to happen. This is a man that abused his and exploited his own son's addiction to make the Biden family more money. They didn't give a crap about Hunter Biden. They knew they were funneling money to a drug addict, and they knew that could cost him his life. They didn't care because they wanted the money to keep coming into the Biden crime family. I actually feel sorry.
Bro, this is an outrageous thing. Like, this is actually obscene. I've actually never heard somebody say something that deranged. Like, that is so obscene. So Joe Biden, who has lost 2 sons before, lost one son in a car accident in the 80s or whatever, lost another son to brain cancer. This guy is accusing Joe Biden of helping to funnel millions of dollars to Hunter Biden, even though he knew that it could have killed Hunter Biden via his drug addiction. What a outrageous, obscene thing to imply. That's insane.
For Hunter Biden, I feel sorry.
It was his daughter, not his son. No, he lost 2 kids in that wreck, didn't he? Joe Biden, car crash, kids killed. I thought he lost. Oh, never mind. Sorry, he lost 2 children. Lost a daughter in the car crash, lost a son to cancer. Yes, that's what I meant. And this guy's saying that Joe Biden was like, well, I know that my son has a crippling drug addiction that could kill him, but I'm getting all these millions of dollars from, I guess, like Ukraine and China. So we got to keep the gravy. Like, that's so obscene. Am I losing my mind? Am I right about this, chat? Like, that is a insane thing to accuse someone of, right? Am I taking crazy pills? That's so wild to me. I've never heard it. I've never heard somebody frame it that way. That's cartoonishly evil. What a insane thing to say.
For a guy that has a father and family members that say, we've got an alibi. He's a drug addict. We'll say that's the excuse for the crimes that we're committing and the money laundering that we're doing and all the bank accounts and all the money coming in from Romania and Ukraine and coming in from China and from Russian oligarchs. and they said, this is how we get away with it. We'll sell out America, the highest bidder, to the most corrupt people in the world, and we'll get away with it by saying, oh, he was a drug addict, he didn't know what he was doing. That is abuse of a child. It's really sad.
Okay, Francesca, you've been grimacing there, but are you grimacing because
so
in your
insane.
heart you know that Joe Biden has done a massive disservice to everybody on the left here with an...
There's more evidence of the Donald Trump hooker P tape being real than there is for millions of dollars being funneled to Joe Biden through his son's corrupt business dealings. There's no evidence of this. They've looked for years and years and years for evidence of this kind of corruption and bribery and pay for play stuff. And there's no evidence of this happening. There's no evidence of Hunter Biden funneling money to Joe Biden. They had bank records. They had subpoena power. The Republican Oversight Committee had subpoena power, and they couldn't find anything. Like, they keep talking all this about this connection, and they couldn't find the actual connection.
Utter selfishness.
Oh, I'm grimacing just because I was imagining Ben Ferguson and Ted Cruz putting out a joint holiday card, and I was wondering if they wear matching pajamas when they do that. Do you guys do that, Ben?
I don't understand exactly what
is it
that
holiday
has
sweaters
to deal
or
with.
is
The
it
idea
pajamas?
that you have a president that abused his power and exploited his son's drug addiction, put his
Where are
life
the
at risk
charges?
to make
Where are
money.
the
And you're
charges?
talking about
Where are the
a damn
charges for that?
Christmas card.
Wild.
Oh, I
Where
was
are the
just,
charges?
that's why I
Those
was
are a lot of
smiling. I
fantastic
mean,
charges. Where are the
Piers was
charges for
asking me
anything?
why I was smiling, but in my heart of hearts, Piers, oh man, I wish I could give you just the tiniest little violin so you could strum it there in your studio talking about the death of democracy. You know why Biden pardoned his son? It was to troll you.
Because he's
it
a
was
scumbag.
to troll everybody. And you know why he didn't? He said
No, I don't think he did it to troll people. I think he did it to protect his son. Yeah.
Troll
going
me.
to, and then he did because he doesn't
didn't troll me
remember.
either. He sold out America.
He
the
didn't
highest
troll me.
bidder. Like,
What he did was he trolled his own side because you all queued up
Thank
to
God
defend
he's
him
not
as
going to
being
be president.
he was the good.
Thank
Remember,
God he's not going to be
in
president
all the
anymore.
debates we've had this year, he was the good guy. Trump was the liar. Trump was
Are
the
you kidding?
hypocrite.
In whose
Trump was the
mind? In
shameless
whose
guy.
mind? Your
Trump was the
mind?
nepotism guy. And then in one moment, Biden proved actually he's just as bad. He's exactly the same.
my
and he
God.
How is
will
Hunter Biden
weaponize.
pardoned? How is that comparable?
And
How is that comparable to Bannon or Stone?
Sorry, and the idea that he is using the idea of the justice system being weaponized against his family is laughable, given that
Thank
Biden
God he's not going to be
has helped
president,
direct
Piers.
the weaponization
Thank God
of
you've
the
got
justice
one
system
life left.
against Trump for all
Wait, you
year.
have no proof of that. What, do we just lie here? Is this just a show where we just tell lies?
Well, Joe
Where's
Biden
the part
lies?
where,
Yes,
where's the
haven't
part
you
where
been
Joe
on?
Biden directed the DOJ to do anything? Where is that?
Well, you think the entire weaponization of the American justice system against Trump in the last year, Biden had no involvement whatsoever?
Conjecture, innuendo, no evidence. No evidence. No evidence whatsoever. You know what we do have evidence for? Donald Trump personally trying to pressure his own attorneys general in Jeff Sessions and William Barr. Again and again and again. Donald Trump openly, flagrantly tried to pressure his attorneys general to take criminal action against this or that person. In the case of Jeff Sessions, he tried to pressure Sessions to not recuse himself, and which would eventually lead to the appointment of the special counsel. When it came to William Barr, he openly pressured William Barr to go after Joe Biden in the month before the 2020 election. He did this over and over and over again. There's no evidence that Biden exerted any kind of corrupt influence whatsoever on any of these criminal cases against Donald Trump. None. Zero. Zilch.
Do you have proof of that?
I don't need proof of it. It's obvious.
Everything's so f***ing stupid. Everything's so f***ing stupid. Everything is so f***ing stupid. Donald Trump has made everything so f***ing stupid. Everything sucks. It's all so f***ing stupid. Okay, Donald Trump had hookers pee on a bed in Moscow. I just know it. It's obvious, right? It's just, give me a break.
I don't.
Okay, so hold on. So it's so obvious. Wait. So to be clear, it's so obvious that this DOJ is being politicized and used by Joe Biden, the same DOJ that went after his son.
That's
The
why
same
they did go
DOJ
after
that
his
appointed a
son, though.
special
That was the
prosecutor for when
defense
Biden
for
had
his son.
classified documents.
Yes, Joe Biden personally intervened and directed the DOJ to go after Donald Trump, but then didn't intervene until just now with a pardon when the DOJ was going after his son. Really? Really? That makes sense? If he was corruptly influencing the DOJ to go after Donald Trump, he would have squashed the investigation into his son day one of stepping into that office.
What are we even talking? Do we even know how the government works in this country? What are we talking about right now?
All right, let me
That's
bring
how
it.
they gave him a sweetheart deal. Wait, Piers, we got to go back to the fact that the only reason why he was actually prosecuted was because he was given such a ridiculous sweetheart deal
by a
that
Trump
judge
appointee, by a Trump appointee, by a Trump appointee, by a lawyer that Trump appointed in 2018 to serve as a U.S. attorney in Delaware.
actually stood up and said, this is abuse of power. I'm not going to accept it, from Biden's Department of Justice, saying this is something I've never seen before. It is unprecedented. No, I'm not going to allow a deal for Hunter Biden that is this sweet. No, I'm stopping it. And he stood up to the Department of Justice under Joe Biden, who basically said, we can do whatever the hell we want. We can sell out as much as we want to the worst actors in the world, including Russian oligarchs who are best friends with Vladimir Putin, that gave millions of dollars to the Biden crime family and then funneled it through shell companies with 150 plus suspicious activity reports.
Where's your proof of this? I don't need the proof. It's obvious, right?
Ben,
that were
do you know
reported
what
from
Roger
American
Stone was
banks.
convicted of? Ben, do
I'm
you
not
know what
talking
Roger
about
Stone and
Roger
Paul
Stone. I'm talking about
but
the
you keep
President of the
talking
United
about
States of America weaponizing the DOJ.
Okay, let's not all talk over each other.
Now it's the Biden
Don't talk
crime
over each
family.
other. Let me ask Francesca. Francesca, be honest with yourself, though. When you heard that Biden had done this, didn't your heart sink?
Why do you keep talking about my heart? I don't.
I care about your heart. I'm all heart myself.
Again, I'm thinking about Christmas cards here. No, but Ben keeps talking about Russian oligarchs. Do we know why Roger Stone and Paul Manafort
Hang on, can you answer my question,
were
please?
convicted
Hang
and
on,
sentenced?
no, sorry, look, I want to take this back
Don't
the old-fashioned
interrupt me.
way. We have a
Piers,
panel. I'm the moderator.
Manafort
I ask the
went to
questions.
jail.
Right, now, hang on. Francesca, why are you ducking my question? Just be honest.
Sorry, I'm sorry. What are you saying? What's in my heart? My heart.
Manafort went to jail for the crime that they're committing, Hunter Biden of committing, without any proof. They looked into FARA violations for Hunter Biden. They looked into business corruption. They had access to his bank accounts. They did that. Ultimately, it was this Trump appointee who decided he didn't want to bring charges. He didn't think that they had sufficient evidence to convince a jury. That's what happened.
Is he did it to troll
I said, did
all
your
y'all
heart
because
sink
now
when
you're
you heard he'd
triggered
done
as
it?
hell.
Because you knew in that moment all the high moral ground the left have had all year with Trump, it disappears.
Absolutely not.
Really?
And if you agree, no, that's my answer, Piers.
Even when he lied repeatedly.
Okay, so because Joe Biden pardoned Hunter Biden, that morally absolves or puts Democrats on the same plane as Donald Trump, who tried to overturn an election that didn't go his way, who kidnapped kids at the southern border, who abdicated his responsibilities as a leader during a pandemic, which indirectly led to probably tens or hundreds of thousands of people dying needlessly because he refused to govern in a competent, responsible way. So because Joe Biden pardoned Hunter Biden, that puts him on the same plane as Donald Trump. Okay.
That he wouldn't do it? Even when Karine Jean-Pierre repeatedly lied that he wouldn't do it?
No.
Even when she dismissively, arrogantly put back the Fox News guys and Pete Doocy, dismissed them? How dare you keep asking me
They don't
this?
care about law and order.
No, you see, but here's my problem, Francesca. Here's my problem.
But why are you interrupting me, Piers? You're just, you ask me a question, I say no, then you have a problem with my answer? Let me explain why no, instead of keep interrupting me. Okay. The reason is that Hunter Biden has never done anything to me, right? Meanwhile, Steve Bannon defrauded the American people while fundraising for Ben.
They also have no evidence that Hunter Biden was underage girls. They see like youthful looking women in some of these porno videos that they scoured from the hard drive, and they're like, oh yeah, that girl's 14 years old. They just throw this shit out there like so casually. Oh, he had child porn on his laptop. Oh, he was 15-year-olds. There's no evidence of this whatsoever, by the way.
Is it PJs or is it holiday sweaters? You tell me. Paul Manafort lied.
Your fantasy card.
Paul Manafort lied to the FBI. Paul Manafort lied to the FBI. Roger Stone also lied to the FBI about being a back channel.
I'm talking about Joe Biden.
Between Piers Morgan, let me finish.
Answer my question, or I'll move on.
Stone
she won't answer the question, Piers. She doesn't know how to.
So can both
All
of you
you can do is talk about Roger Stone and Bannon. I don't care about them.
I swear to God, dude. Like being on this program with Best Boy and with Dingleberry over here on the Trump administration, that's you, Piers. You've reached your final form as just one of the little dingleberries in Trump's diaper. You're right there. And it's
Oh God. Piers Morgan panels are just such like content farms, I'm telling you guys.
so sad for you, Piers, because now that Trump won re-election, he's definitely never gonna do your program, and that sucks so hard. Like, doesn't that make you so sad?
You know
and
what makes me laugh about people like you, Francesca? Is that
you're not even gonna get invited to Mar-a-Lago.
Francesca, actually, I was yesterday. It doesn't matter. And I will get an interview with Trump, probably at the White House. And when I do, I'll invite you. Sure. You can come and meet him.
No, thanks, my guy.
No, you want to do that? Let me bring in Ryan here. Look.
Ryan.
Yeah, it seems to me that the Democrats, liberals generally, have gone into a weird kind of collective anaphylactic shock, which has now been massively exacerbated by what Biden's done. Because the truth is, they cannot handle the fact that this guy they spent all year calling a fascist, a Nazi, the new Hitler, the biggest bigot in the world, blah, 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 has won literally across the board everything. It's set them all slightly nuts. And people like me who basically are in the middle, I'm a kind of centrist, slightly liberal guy, right? I'm not a
centrist, slightly liberal guy who aggressively capes for Donald Trump at every opportunity he could possibly. There's one clip of Piers that is unbelievable. Have you guys seen this clip? Hold on, let me find it.
If I said to you 2 years ago, Donald Trump will win the popular vote and the Electoral College and the Senate and the House and the White House, you'd have thought I was stark raving bonkers. You'd have bet your house, you'd have bet your family, you'd have bet every penny you own that could never happen. You've been all caught napping at the wheel, right? You fell asleep at the wheel and you let him drive by and take the whole shebang. I think Democrats should take a long, hard look in the mirror and admit you've just been completely pounded into total, shameful, humiliating oblivion, and you've got to start again, and you've got to find politicians.
5-seat majority in the House, by the way. They have a 5-seat majority in the House. It's the smallest majority in the House since 1930, okay? I don't want to take away from the victory because I don't want to do too much cope, right? I don't want to do too much cope. Because, you know, winning a trifecta is a big deal. That is a big deal. It's a 5-seat majority in the House. 2-seat for now. Ultimately, it's going to be 220 to 215. It's a 5-seat majority. And a 3-seat majority in the Senate.
That actually resonate with the American people.
You want to know what a mandate looks like? Let's take it back to 2008. Let's take it back to 2008. That's a mandate. A filibuster-proof majority in the Senate, like a 4-dozen-seat majority in the House and the presidency. That's a mandate. And what do we do with the mandate? The ACA. That's what you can do with a mandate. You can do big sweeping ACA-like federal legislation. Let's see what Donald Trump is able to pull off with this Congress. I am so eager to see. You guys have no idea how eager I am to see Mike Johnson keep his party in line for the next 2 years until 2026. This is going to be amazing. Okay.
And it's not the current shower you've got. Sorry.
So, Piers, in 2020, would you have said the same thing about the Republican Party that lost by a 4.5% margin nationally?
No.
Oh, man. Amazing. One of the most amazing Piers Morgan's clips.
Well, there you go. That's your comment.
No, because I felt the 2020. I said to you 2 years ago, Donald Trump.
Incredible clip that was.
Trump dingleberry. I've just warned the liberals for years this was going to happen, and now it's happened. They want to blame me, and I'm like, I did try and tell you.
I'm just saying it's going to be fun watching the Republican Party, watching House Speaker Mike Johnson whip the votes that he needs over the next 2 years. It's going to be amazing to watch him try to keep that caucus, to keep the House Freedom Caucus in line for the next 2 years. The same House Freedom Caucus that ousted the last speaker they had for the first time ever. For the first time ever, a party ousted their own House Speaker. And now he has smaller margin. He has a smaller margin to work with in terms of his majority in the House. This is going to be amazing.
Right. I mean, if you look at the Trump victory overall, there's a wide range of why he lost, from woke culture to racism, misogyny. I mean, it runs the gamut. But what's really interesting about this this pardon is what Biden is saying in the pardon versus what Democrats who are supporting Biden and protecting Biden or making excuses for him are two entirely different things. Biden is saying that what Trump has said for years is true, that there is politicization inside the Justice Department. And that is a damning account, because politicization of the Justice Department was completely a partisan issue. Democrats for 4 years said it wasn't happening. Republicans said it was happening. And here's the Democratic president saying, no, it happened, but it happened against my son. I think that the scope, I don't listen, if he would have said, I love my son, it's my only surviving child from my first marriage, I honestly don't know many Americans who would disagree with him. I would feel sympathy for it, but that's not what he said. And the scope and the length into which he has given this pardon, 11 years for for everything. It is a full pardon for anything. It draws the question, what else was he doing? There was $24 million from foreign countries, including adversaries, through 20 shell companies. There's probably more. There was the issues of Hunter receiving millions of dollars in free legal services, in representation.
Sex trafficking.
There were probably appointments. And where does it end?
Okay, Destiny,
what, you're nitpicking that he had his legal bills paid for? That's what you're nitpicking about? That somebody paid his legal fees?
The problem. Not a problem.
I'm just curious. Because I don't know all the time. Do the people who cover politics, are these like actual news people? Like, what is the background here on this show?
What's your point?
When you have people talking about, like, the Democrats have never said.
Just go look at his laptop. He gave you all the info. Hunter's laptop tells you the story. You don't have to be a journalist.
It did read the story that he is massively
Hey, where are the charges?
endowed.
Ben, where are the charges? They've been investigating Hunter Biden for 4 years. Where are the charges? I thought we were going to get impeachment charges from Jim Jordan. Where are the charges for Hunter Biden?
It's a great question. I can answer that.
That's a great question.
The DOJ made sure that the statute of limitations on the worst crimes that dealt with the tax issues were outside the statute of limitations.
The Republicans in the House said that they allege, Jim Comer alleges that they found a criminal connection between Joe Biden and his son, Hunter Biden. That's what they're saying. They get up there in front of Fox News and they say, we have evidence of crimes. We have evidence that Joe Biden committed crimes. Okay, why didn't you impeach? What is your explanation for that? Why would you not impeach? You found crimes? You found evidence that the president committed crimes and you didn't impeach? How does that make sense?
So if you go talk to a lawyer, they'll explain what that means to you. But the DOJ
I don't need to talk to the lawyer. I've read the documents. Thank you. I'm not
no, you asked the question. You asked the question. You said, where are the journalists?
You just made
I'm
things that sounded like FARA violations. You're telling me the FARA violations of him illegally accepting foreign money, of him taking bribes and having money go. The statute of limitations is what?
Don't talk over each other, please.
I'm going to finish it again. He never registers a foreign agent, and the statute of limitations that ran out on that for what was going on. He
was investigated by a Trump appointee. They looked into this. They declined to press charges.
Out with the tax issues and didn't have to, because we know deliberately that they purposely slow played to make sure that the worst crimes were going. And the DOJ did this. The timeline is clear. They would expire.
A Trump appointee.
They couldn't charge him with those crimes. The reality is the reason why the Biden administration is now having to go back and say who else needs a damn pardon is because there was people abusing their power to make sure that the only two crimes that they charged Hunter Biden with could not be connected to the big guy. The gun charge didn't connect the big guy to any actual crime. And that's a fact. And the tax charges where they did charge him dealt outside of any of the money coming in from the money laundering. So the Department of Justice ran interference and said, we'll make sure we investigate this.
A Trump appointee. A Trump appointee ran interference for Joe Biden. That's what he's saying.
Statute of limitations ran out. Even if we wanted to charge him, we couldn't charge him with the crimes. And that's why the White House is saying,
a Trump appointee who said he felt no pressure from Merrick Garland to do one thing or another.
Holy crap, who the hell needs another pardon here? It's that
Gotcha.
simple.
Okay.
And go
so then
read the laptop.
Easy question for you then. Easy question for you then, right? So the reason why Mueller was appointed was because an actual obstruction of justice was Donald Trump firing Comey to try to stop the investigation into his illegal activity.
You have the right
so
to
I'm
fire
curious,
who you
can
want to
tell
fire
me
when you become the president. You should have fired him day one.
What was the equivalent action on the White House and their influence on the DOJ? Give me the equivalent action. Where is the intrusion of Biden into the DOJ?
Why didn't Biden ask Merrick Garland to fire David Weiss, which he had the authority to do? You have the authority to do that. You can. That's what every president does. They come in and they ask, a lot of the times, most of the times, they ask U.S. attorneys serving in all these states to resign, and then they staff these positions with their own appointees. So why didn't he do that with David Weiss? If he's so corrupt, why didn't he just stop the investigation the day he was inaugurated?
I'll answer the question simply. If you understand,
that's what Donald Trump did when he fired Comey. He did it openly. They came up with a pretense. So they tasked acting Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. Okay, Rod Rosenstein. He drafted a letter that they used for a pretense to fire Comey. And the reason that they gave in this letter was that they disapproved of the way that Comey handled the Hillary Clinton investigation. And then when Donald Trump sat down with an interview with Lester Holt from NBC, and Lester Holt asked him, why did you fire Comey? Trump goes, well, I wasn't really happy with what was going on with the investigation into my campaign. He just came out and said it. He just said, I fired Comey because they were investigating my campaign. So where is the equivalent of that from Joe Biden? Why didn't he fire David Weiss, this guy who was investigating his son? Why?
Presidential powers, you would understand that you serve at the pleasure of the president, and the president had the right to fire James.
If we're deferring to presidential powers, the president has the power to pardon people. They have broad pardon powers. If you're going to deflect to the fact that, well, it was okay because he had the power to do it, okay, Biden has the power to pardon his son, right? If you're talking about broad presidential powers, if you're talking about like, well, he had the authority to do it, he can technically do it, right? So that makes it fine, right?
Comey whenever he wanted to, and he should have done it day one, but he went against his advisors when he did that. James Comey, by the way, laughed on TV about sending in FBI agents because the Trump administration was too trusting, too new, and too green to Washington to go after General Flynn to try to get dirt on Donald Trump.
So you have
he
nothing.
laughed
You're
about
lying.
it on stage.
You have nothing. Flynn
he
lied to the
about
FBI.
It on stage.
That's
the guy that you want to defend
Donald
right now?
Trump's
Are you kidding
meddling
me?
in the DOJ. There is no equivalent to that on the Biden White House, which is why what you just said was a bunch of nonsense.
Then why
You
are
serve
they
at the
talking
pleasure
about
of
giving
It
pardons
was
out to
nonsense,
so
although
many
the Supreme
people?
Court has now
Hold
made
on,
that
then
criminal
answer me this
activity
question.
legal.
Hang on.
This guy's the worst, bro. He cannot physically restrain himself. Just shut the up. He shut up and let you speak. Let him speak.
Question then.
Hang on. Destiny. You say that the Biden administration has done nothing to meddle with the DOJ. He has literally pardoned his son.
That is not meddling with the DOJ. He didn't like him meddling with the DOJ would be like him pressuring Garland to drop the charges. Him meddling with the DOJ would have been him firing David Weiss. Him pardoning his son, that doesn't involve the DOJ, I don't believe, does it? Maybe it does it? I actually don't know. Do presidential pardons, they come from the executive, right? It's above the DOJ. You don't involve the DOJ. It's not like the pardon is presented through the DOJ. It comes directly through the president.
Who's been convicted of criminal offenses. That is.
Why did you just say bingo? What do you think a pardon is? How is a pardon meddling in the DOJ?
Yeah.
You don't think it's meddling with justice?
Because the DOJ and the judge even said yesterday that this was the most despicable abuse of power. Go listen to what the judge said, who's not a conservative judge, who wrote a scathing rebuke of the Biden administration's abuse of power after there had been a conviction for his son. Go read what the judge wrote, and you might understand.
I'm sorry.
Wow,
Do you
this
think
is a bad
that when does a pardon happen if not after a conviction? What do you think a pardon is for? Is every single pardon?
That wasn't my point. My point. Destiny.
You can preemptively pardon.
Please, let me say this. This is the part
Piers,
where you need to listen to what you're saying. No, listen to what you're saying. You just said that you only give a pardon when someone's been convicted. If that was true, they wouldn't have just given a 10-year absolute pardon to Hunter
I think Destiny misspoke here because you can definitely do preemptive pardons.
Biden for a bunch of crimes he committed in case he is actually investigated.
But we're getting lost in the sauce. Like he's not meaningfully answering Destiny's question. Destiny's question was, what is the equivalent action that Biden took with respect to like obstructing or interfering in DOJ matters that compares with what we saw from Donald Trump, who literally fired the head of the FBI, who is meant to serve a 10-year term because he was investigating the Donald Trump campaign.
Investigated for the damn crime.
The whole point of issuing that pardon
you're wrong.
is to make it so that you guys can't spend the next 4 years playing Hillary's emails
If you
with
did
Hunter
not be
Biden. That's
wrong,
the whole
then
point.
you
Because
shouldn't
that's what
worry
you guys
about
do.
it.
Like you tried with Hillary, like you
do
tried
it
with
with Hillary's
Benghazi
emails
and
anyway.
failed over and over and over again with all these bullshit investigations. You do like you've done now with Hunter Biden,
Destiny,
like you did with
Destiny.
Penn Star and Bill
Wait,
Clinton.
wait, wait,
Destiny,
wait,
hang
wait.
on,
Is
hang on.
Hunter Biden bullshit
Hang on,
now? when he's been
hang on. Destiny, to be clear,
Destiny, in the House, you're going to bring in
Destiny
charges to Joe Biden and has nothing. But here you
Destiny.
are.
Piers let this guy gish gallop like crazy, and he just like, I feel like Destiny, this entire panel has not been allowed to get a word in edgewise. He says like 10 words and then people start speaking over him. It's happened every single time he's opened up his mouth during this panel.
Calm down.
The same lies about the Biden crime family.
Destiny,
The same lies.
hang on, please. Can I get involved here? Destiny, a question for you, which is Gavin Newsom, who was one of the most vocal supporters of Biden, even when everyone else was chucking him under a bus. Even he has come out and said he cannot support this decision. Do you actually support what Biden has done? Do you support
Absolutely, 100%.
Wow. So actually, in the end, you do support lying, hypocrisy, and shamelessness.
Here's a little bit of breaking news. John Cornyn is refusing to commit to support Pete Hegseth, which this could prove to be consequential. Murkowski and Collins, I think, are not necessarily shoo-ins to confirm people like Kash Patel and RFK and Hegseth. And with a 53 seat majority, all they would need is one more detractor, and you could block the nomination of Hegseth.
Did you discuss Pete Hegseth with Bondi?
Pardon
Did
me?
you discuss Pete Hegseth with Bondi?
No.
Are you comfortable that he is the right man for the job, Hegseth?
I'm going to let the process work itself out. I've known Pete for a number of years, and so I haven't had a chance to talk to him since he was nominated, but we'll let the process work itself out.
Thank you.
Well, it's not a no, but it's not like unwavering support.
And obstructing justice. You support all those things.
No. What the pardon of Hunter Biden is a trillionth of what Donald Trump. It's not even close.
And if Trump had done this, to Donald Trump Jr., you'd have said the complete opposite. Anyway, look, let me segue to.
Someone smashed her, and YouTube said Romney's replacement is going to be like Romney in being a moderate GOP senator. Who are the moderate GOP senators? We have Collins, we have Murkowski, and these are people that they're not necessarily like, Collins has gone along with a lot of the Trump stuff, for example, but they're not going to be permanent obstructionists. But these are people that could potentially vote to block the nomination of certain candidates or appointees, right? Like who are the other moderates in the Senate? Young and Cassidy. Cassidy's the guy from Tennessee, right? He actually voted to convict Trump in the second impeachment trial.
Donald Trump's administration, after the traitors, okay, over here that support Donald Trump, tried to overthrow the government in 2020, after they tried to overthrow the government and failed, people like Eastman and Giuliani were asking to be put on the pardon list.
All right.
Okay.
They were.
Okay. People that were involved in the J6 attack. And guess what? When he does, Piers, you're going to have a 20-minute segment on it, and you're going to move on to see if you can dig up something else about the Bidens or Kamala Harris.
No, I will
I just
go
think it's
after.
sad because you guys are all just jealous that he's massively endowed, and so it's his
Sorry,
dad.
hang on.
She's just such a shit poster. She's an IRL poster is what she is.
Hang on.
Anybody else.
Francesca, sorry, what was that?
I was just saying, I mean, the only crime, I guess, in Ben's eyes that Hunter Biden really committed was showing just how well endowed the Biden family is. And I can see from Ben's perspective how that, might feel like, a crime against him.
This is your argument
and his
defending a
manhood.
man that abused women? Like, as a woman, you should at least
Abused women,
understand that there were
paying for
women.
Where are the abused women? What is he talking about? I've never heard any allegations of him abusing women. Have you guys? Was there any allegations that he was like hitting women or abusing women? I've never heard any allegations like that. Hiring sex workers. I mean, I just don't know. Like, is that abusing women? Is hiring a prostitute?
Sex work is abusing women? I don't think so.
I would say
abusing women sexually. Who is this guy? And where is he getting these allegations, bro?
Were they 17 and trafficked over state lines? Nah,
when you're
That's not the
trafficking
only
women
thing he
and
did.
getting them addicted to drugs, yeah, that's
You mean
abusing
Matt
women.
Gaetz?
If you want
You
to
mean
say
Matt
that that's
Gaetz?
good, that's on you.
Look, here's the difference between the pardons between Trump and Joe Biden, right? Number one, Joe does this to troll y'all, and so you have something to talk.
Here's my hot take. I don't know if this is a hot take. So you guys know, like many of you guys know, I'm in recovery. So I go to NA. I work a program. I have a sponsor. I'm the secretary of a meeting on Monday night. So like recovery is a big part of my life, and recovery was a big part of my life in my 20s too. So when I was 20 to 27, I was actually clean. So like the first like year of being on Respawn, I was totally clean. I was no substances. I think ultimately people who get addicted to drugs are responsible for themselves. Like I reject this idea that you can become addicted to heroin or cocaine or whatever because like somebody made you get addicted. You know what I mean? So the fact that Hunter Biden introduced drugs into someone's life, like the person that he's talking about, which was like his sister-in-law, the widower of his brother, who I believe they had like a brief affair. She temporarily did drugs with Hunter Biden for like a couple weeks or something like that, and then like walked away. But ultimately, people are responsible for themselves. Like, I don't think that we should be blaming other people. Like there was a curiosity there, and there was a willingness there, and so I just don't. This whole like, oh, he got someone addicted to drugs. It's like, no, that person made a decision to pick up drugs in the first place. Okay, people are responsible for their own lives.
Talk about, but number two, the people that Donald Trump pardoned.
Widow. Yeah, I meant widow. Yeah.
Not only included everyone who allowed and helped him to back channel with the Russian government in the 2016 campaign, like Paul Manafort, like Roger Stone.
We're back to Russia collusion.
They didn't even get in trouble.
Are we really back to Russia collusion? One of the great.
Because it actually.
We're back to Russia collusion, which was one of the great lies
Jared Kushner's
of
father,
that whole
Charles
period.
Kushner. Charles Kushner is now going to be the ambassador to France. He also pardoned the Blackwater
this is why we won,
employees
Piers.
who murdered 14 unarmed Iraqi civilians that we know about thanks to Chelsea Manning.
He pardoned a guy that did war crimes, for Christ's sakes, because Hegseth convinced him to. Donald Trump pardoned a Navy SEAL who his own platoon members testified to the fact that he shot like Afghan teenagers. He murdered an Afghan teenager and then forced his platoon to take a selfie with the dead body. Like, this dude committed actual war crimes, and Donald Trump pardoned this guy. And I am supposed to give a about Hunter Biden. Give me a break.
Whistleblowing, right? And to WikiLeaks. He pardoned those monsters. He's pardoned a lot of people. And so those people arguably
Piers,
have
did
had more
Donald Trump
impact on my
ever pardon
life
his own
than
kids?
Hunter Biden and his laptop. And $1.4 million in tax evasion. Piers, you know you do that like on a Tuesday. Come on.
Damn.
Wait, hang on. Guys, oh, my beeper's going off. Cherdusky's a bitch. Oh. Cherdusky, I think this is...
Oh my God. Oh my God, bro. She is such a poster, man.
For you.
Is this like a comic? This is giving me a very bad like reputation of female comics who people already don't think are funny. I don't know. I think the problem right now.
I actually find her a little bit aggravating. If I'm being honest. She's kind of getting on my nerves a little bit.
But I just own your ass. But you look really...
I mean, she fits right in on like Piers, like... She's like perfect for Piers, right? That's kind of the point of these panels, is to get moments like these. But yeah,
you didn't. You made a very lame joke that was like 3 weeks old. Congratulations, you're very funny.
I thought you were making. Weren't you making that joke?
With the Biden.
Tell me about your joke again.
Sorry, Destiny.
Okay.
Will the two MAGA people here, will you guys defend when Donald Trump pardons the January 6th rioters or anybody?
Okay, I don't think he will. I think he will for sure. I'm going to say no, yes. No, he won't defend. Yes, he will defend.
That was convicted in connection to the January 6th stuff, if he goes for the seditious conspiracy people, will you defend that pardon?
Ryan?
I've said this before. I'll say it again.
Well, let me bring Ryan in. Hang on.
This guy needs to shut the up. God, he's so chatty.
Let me bring Ryan in on that one.
I think with the January 6th, you're talking about several hundred, if not several thousand people. And I think the question is I don't think that he should pardon anyone who did something violent. I don't think that an attack, but I do think that...
Oh, so if they trespassed, you should pardon them, right? So if they trespassed, if they followed the mob who violently breached the Capitol building, and then they followed the mob in there and trespassed and smeared on the walls of Congress, oh yeah, they should get a pardon?
That when you look at the sentencing and how some January 6th people have been treated is remarkable, considering some people have solitary confinement for months on end. People are treated much worse doing a January 6th than a murder. So I do think that depending on what they are accused of and what they have been tried on, I think a pardon could be warranted. I don't think that anyone who violently attacks somebody should be pardoned, though.
So if they go to pardon the people convicted of seditious conspiracy that weren't involved in direct violent activity, you would support those pardons?
I'd have to see the individual case. I don't really know. Particularly, it's not my beat.
You don't know about
stuff.
seditious conspiracy charges. Some of the first in decades. It's unbelievable.
Enrico Tarrio, the Proud Boys, who got 20-year sentences. It was a serious. Those were the most serious offenses that were prosecuted for the bevy of January 6 crimes that were committed that day. And this guy's pretending like he doesn't know about this case. He absolutely knows about this case, by the way. He's hedging because he knows eventually, like, Donald Trump will pardon these people, and he's going to have to find a way to defend that.
I just said I'd have to look. I just said I'd have to look at them individually.
On the Hunter Biden pardon, and they don't even know.
What a great
I don't know
idea.
who was convicted.
Read about the
in regards to
individual
trying to coup the government.
cases
I have no idea.
before you decide.
I'll tell you
on
what.
pardon.
Let Ben answer Destiny's question.
Yeah, I'll go back to this. If you look,
Let's just do a thought experiment, okay? So let's go back to summer 2020, okay? And let's imagine that a bunch of BLM activists violently breached the Minnesota State Capitol. And then let's say another wave of BLM activists followed that violent breach into the Capitol, trespassed, and then stayed there. Do you think these people, these two guys, would say that, well, I don't think those people should go to jail? The ones that followed and didn't do anything violent, the nonviolent BLM activists that followed the violent protesters into the Minnesota State Capitol, I don't think those people should go to jail. Bull.
look at each and every case, and you look at how they were throwing the book at everybody, there are different people that did different things. If you attacked a police officer, you deserve to be in jail for that. If you're an 87-year-old grandmother that was walking around outside the Capitol and they hunted him down and put him in jail and they didn't do anything violent,
That's right. They did. Wait, did they take over a police precinct or did they burn it to the ground? There were people that did that, but I'm not saying that those people should be pardoned. If you burned a police precinct down, if you took over, you deserve to go to jail. You deserve it. That's a brazen crime. It's totally unacceptable in polite society and civil society with laws. Like, fully support people who entered a police building and took it over. I would fully support prosecution and jail time for something like that. I would not say, oh, well, those people were nonviolent, like they only followed the violent people into the police precinct. That's the difference between me and these other two people on the stream.
do not deserve to be in jail for that, even if you're charged with the word seditious in any of the complaints. There are different cases and different people, and there was clear abuse of power.
What did he just say?
Not deserve to be in jail for that, even if you're charged with the 87-year-old grandmother that was walking around outside the Capitol and they hunted him down and put him in jail and they didn't do anything violent. You do not deserve to be in jail for that, even if you're charged with the word seditious in any of the complaints. There are different cases and different people, and there was clear abuse of power where they walked in, they said, anyone that we got that day or anyone we have on video, even if they were nonviolent, even if they weren't doing anything, even if police officers let them into the Capitol on video, they overcharged them, and there are many people that deserve to be pardoned. If you attacked a police officer, if you broke through...
Manar disagrees. Manar, in YouTube chat, you just said you're taking such a huge L. What do you mean by that?
100%, man. I can't believe you're sitting here and actually defending and actually claiming that Trump is the one abusing his powers, and you're trying to bring up evidences of that. At the same time, they're literally arguing about the Biden situation. First of all, why are you going to the Trump? Second of all, you're contradicting everything you said, because Biden already claimed that the DOJ was politically charged. So everything Trump ever said about the DOJ was 100% true.
Okay, we need to slow things down. There's a lot to unpack there. Can you get into specifics?
Yeah, let's dive a little bit deep into the specific. Let's talk about the Jack Smith investigation. Did it actually come up with any conspiracy theory, or was it a failed actual
Donald
investigation?
Trump, to my knowledge, was charged with conspiracy in the Jack Smith case for the January 6th stuff. Yes.
Well, yeah, but there was no actual guilty pleading, and there was.
What does that mean? Who gives a Donald Trump didn't plead guilty.
You charged him. Let me explain why it's important. Because you've done this before. You've been charging him all over Fulton County. You've charged him all over Georgia. Turns out on appeal and on actual. I
charged them.
Let me finish, please. On
my good sir, I am not a prosecutor. I have no influence on these matters.
So you didn't charge him?
No, I did
Georgia?
not. I'm not a lawyer. I don't charge people.
Hello. Do you know what I mean by he got charged, and that means he had some investigation going against him, and he was getting lawfare in Georgia and Fulton County against Fannie Willis.
Well, what you call lawfare?
All of those are the same thing. There's all charges too. Do you agree?
Yes. Well, I don't know what you mean.
Okay, then you're looking really bad because you keep saying that these are charges that are. You keep claiming though he was charged. Well, who cares? We know that every single time he's been charged, it failed on appeal or it failed when requesting dismissal every single time. So these charges they're trumped up. They don't matter.
What do you mean they failed on appeal? What are you talking about?
You have to tell me he was guilty and he was found guilty and he was sentenced. Where did that ever happen?
Manhattan. He was found guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records. The Florida case got thrown away. Many people.
Do you see how disgusting this is? Do you see how disgusting this is? So
Hunter Biden. How disgusting what is?
Hunter Biden. Let me explain. Hunter Biden goes and colludes with foreign governments. He goes and creates corruption cases.
Where's your evidence of this?
Can I ask you a question? If it's true that Joe Biden, let me explain how I know. If it's true that Joe Biden really cares about the gun charges and the actual question and the actual tax fraud, why did he pardon him up to 2014 when that wasn't the year that the tax fraud or the gun charges happened? That was I'll explain to you what year that was. That was the year he actually got on the board of Burisma, 2014.
You allege, first of all, you allege that he was colluding with foreign governments. What's your evidence of that?
My evidence is Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma in 2014. He had no experience on that. At the same time that the vice president, Joe Biden, was the actual was actually interfering in Poroshenko's the attorney general or the state prosecutor's case against Burisma, against all the energy companies.
Right. So you're alleging that Joe Biden corruptly influenced Ukraine to fire a prosecutor that was quote unquote
Joe Biden already admitted to it. He already admitted to it on video.
Yeah, he said I got that son of a bitch fired. Right.
$1 billion
Shut up. Let's talk about Burisma for a second. So are you aware that our allies in the European Union, in the IMF, are you aware that Republicans in Congress supported the Obama administration's efforts to get that prosecutor fired, Shokin, because he was seen as corrupt and protecting corrupt business interests in Ukraine? So how do you explain the fact? Shut up! How do you explain the fact that the European Union and the IMF supported trying to oust Viktor Shokin? Were they all trying to protect Hunter Biden?
All right. No, I want you to actually admit
answer that question. Answer the question.
I will, but you have to admit that Joe Biden.
Answer the question.
Do you agree Joe Biden is the one that influenced?
Did the IMF and the EU, were they trying to protect Hunter Biden?
Obama, Joe Biden used Obama's power.
Answer the question. If you don't answer the question, I'm going to end this conversation. If you don't answer the question, I'm going to end this conversation. Was the IMF and the EU...
Obama was protecting... Yes, he was protecting Hunter Biden, yes.
No. The IMF and the EU, who supported...
Doesn't matter. The IMF and the EU didn't go after... Wasn't actually the reason why these charges went up.
If you don't answer this question, I'm going to end the conversation. Was the IMF and the EU in on protecting Hunter Biden? Because they supported...
I will answer. What did the IMF and the EU do? Go ahead.
They supported Obama's efforts to put pressure on Ukraine to fire that prosecutor because they
That doesn't defeat my argument.
you would have to believe that these massive institutions were also like in on the fix, right? Why did they support
Is it possible? Is it possible that they weren't in on the fix, but they actually had allegiance to the country that was in on the fix? You're not actually proving that. This is how you prove that there was no collusion.
So what about Republicans in Congress? What about Republicans? What about Republicans in Congress? Republicans in Congress at the time.
You won't let me speak? So I'm going to answer all your questions. You won't answer a single one of my questions?
Republicans in Congress.
So this is how you debate, Hutch? Is this how you debate?
Republicans in Congress. Okay, make your point. Go ahead.
Okay, will you allow me to speak? Okay, here it is. Give me 15 seconds. You can only prove that there's no collusion if you prove that Joe Biden did not hold up $1 billion of mandated aid to actual Congress accepted aid to, let me finish, to actual Ukraine in order to hold off and to enforce that the Poroshenko, which is the actual state prosecutor, be fired. Did that happen or no?
No, that wasn't Poroshenko. That was not Poroshenko. You have no idea what the you're talking about. His name is Viktor Shokin. Poroshenko was Poroshenko was the president. He was not a prosecutor.
Yeah, he fired. Poroshenko fired the Shokin. Yes, the state prosecutor that was prosecuting president at the time. Yes or no?
Yeah. So these were congressionally approved funds, right? So the funds that were supposed to go to Ukraine.
He actually held them, right? He held them in order and until the firing happened. Yes or no? According to his own admission. Yes or no?
Yes, he did.
Okay,
yes.
So this is literally the same crime that you guys claim that Trump was holding.
You are
actual
twat,
congressional aid.
You dumb twat.
No, you're the piece of shit. You're not to me like this. I'm embarrassing you right now.
Yes, I am.
Because your only claim that there's no collusion is the IMF agreed with it. This is a trash
idea what
argument.
you're talking about.
You actually don't know how to debate, Touch. You don't know how to debate. I'm embarrassing you. I'm a small channel. I'm embarrassing you, bro.
So let me ask you.
Your literal argument is the IMF agreed with it. That's so there's no collusion. What the fuck are you talking about?
Not just the IMF. The IMF, the entire EU. And how do you explain to me that Republicans in Congress? Listen to me real quick. This is a really important point. Okay, I promise you this is relevant. I'm going to try to be nice. In order to hold up those funds, Obama had to go to Republicans in Congress and explain to them what they were doing. They explained that the IMF, the EU, the Obama administration, they all considered this Shokin prosecutor corrupt. You're
a liar. I looked at the fact check.
No, I'm not lying. I promise you can look this up.
Corruption.
I promise you I'm right about this. Listen to me. So what Obama did, listen to me. What Obama did is he went to Congress at the time, which included Republican senators. And Obama told the senators, we want to hold up these funds to try to oust this prosecutor because this prosecutor is not doing enough to prosecute. Listen to me, please. I promise you I'm right. Okay. And the Republicans in Congress said, yes, we agree with this. So were they trying to protect Hunter Biden as well?
I'm going to embarrass you right now. So you're telling me right now, what is your evidence that Shokin was actually corrupt? Go ahead. You actually have no evidence because at the same time you're claiming he was corrupt. The only reason you're claiming he's corrupt is because he was going charging corrupt dealings of Burisma. You literally have no idea what you're talking about. You're a liar. You're misinforming your people. Give me the reason why he's corrupt. Go ahead. Steelman your argument. Why was he corrupt? Go ahead. You have no actual proof. Look, guys, he doesn't have anything.
This was the consensus.
Okay, what's the consensus? Because of what? You actually don't know what you're talking about.
Take a breath.
But you're a liar. You're misinforming your people. And you're calling names.
Take a breath. The consensus.
You claim that he was corrupt. How do you know? What's your evidence to that? You have no evidence.
The international consensus. And the consensus with Republicans in Congress was
What's the evidence? What happened? Why did they think that? What was he doing at that time? Who was he prosecuting corruptly? Who was he doing it to corruptly?
There was a widespread notion that Ukraine was
know what he's talking about.
You got to let me speak, bro. You're worse than the people on Piers Morgan's panel.
Can you answer one of my questions? Because when I didn't answer you threatened to kick me out.
I begin to answer the question and then you just go, So if you want me to answer a question, I can answer the question.
Specific reason he's corrupt. Go ahead.
Okay. So the perception at the time of Ukraine was that it was a burgeoning democracy and it was still grappling with a corruption problem. There was a massive problem with oligarchs having a corrupt influence in government in Ukraine. FBI had attested to this. The international consensus amongst our international allies as we were debating, like, how do we support this country in Ukraine, this democracy that we want to support, but is also like grappling with corruption problems in their own country. And so what they did was they used this $1 million in aid that was congressionally approved funds, and they in concert. It's not speculation. This is what happened.
You didn't provide evidence. You didn't provide evidence of the corruption.
First of all, your entire premise is that Joe Biden had full autonomy to go to Ukraine and just do whatever he wanted. You don't seem to understand that Joe Biden.
It was Hunter Biden that did that.
Joe Biden, when he went to Ukraine, he was doing so on behalf of
Your
Obama.
argument literally was international consensus. Hutch, you're looking really bad, bro, in front of all your 500 viewers. I'm a small channel, and I'm embarrassing you.
I promise you, I'm not. The IMF. Anybody can look this up. So are you live?
So
are you
your
live right now?
argument that there was collusion
Are you
is
live right now?
speculation.
Are you live right now?
I'm live right now. Yes.
Okay, so I would encourage people in your chat and in my chat, look up the particulars of this event when Biden went to Ukraine and pressured Ukraine to fire this guy Viktor Shokin. Look up what the IMF had to say about Viktor Shokin. Look up what the EU. Let me speak, bro. Look up what the EU had to say about Viktor Shokin, and look up the fact that Republicans in Congress supported the decision to put pressure on Ukraine to fire that prosecutor. In order for your theory to be correct, all of these international bodies and Republicans in Congress would all have to be in on this ploy to protect Hunter Biden. On top of that, there is no evidence. There is no evidence that Viktor Shokin was investigating Burisma, by the way. There's no evidence of this.
100%. Actually, I'll prove to you. 2014.
No, you can't.
There's
no
he was
evidence
fired,
that he was investigating Burisma.
Please. Hutch, let me finish, please. He's lying to you guys. He's lying to you. He won't let me speak to actually perfect this misinformation bullshit. That the year Shokin was fired, he actually had not the year, the week before he was fired, or the week he did get fired, he had finally got approval to go and hold and start investigating Burisma Holdings and actual oligarch. I forget his name. He had just gotten approval to start investigating him and actually hold on. Go look it up. You asked my viewers to go look up. Go, guys. Go look up the week of Shokin getting fired. He had just gotten approval to actually withhold a lot of the assets of this oligarch and a lot of the Burisma assets. Literally, that's what happened that week he was fired. You're lying. You're lying to the...
It's on the screen right now.
He was very successful in his case, actually.
This is on the screen right now. Anybody can look at it. Hold on. You guys can't even really read that. Yeah, you can right there. Okay.
Nothing's on the screen.
The firing of Viktor Shokin. This is a report from the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. It was run by the Democrats at the time, but it was a bipartisan coalition of members of Congress who supported the ousting of Viktor Shokin. The firing of Viktor Shokin. This is from 2016, you dumb. The firing of Viktor Shokin, Ukraine's corrupt prosecutor general, was the culmination of a years-long effort by a bipartisan international coalition to address and root out corruption in Ukraine. The removal of Shokin, who slow-walked efforts to fight corruption, only increased the likelihood that Burisma and its owner, Mykola Zaklavsky or whatever, would have been investigated. The false claim that Vice President Biden called for Shokin's firing to help his son was created and perpetuated by Rudy Giuliani. Anybody can just look up. I promise you, people in your audience, Google IMF EU Viktor Shokin, and you will find plenty of documentary evidence. Don't listen to me. Google it yourself. You will find plenty of documentary evidence that this was an international coalition of people that wanted this prosecutor fired. It had nothing to do with Hunter Biden.
I find it funny the comment section saying I'm getting cooked while you're getting stressed and you're literally sweating. Okay, anyways. So guys, I asked him, remember what the question earlier was? I said, why you claim that Shokin was corrupt. What was the actual evidence? Never once did he provide any evidence. Every time he goes to another shot or another clip, or he shows you guys
anybody
any PDF
who's
files,
in this,
anybody is just a consensus. There's no actual evidence, and he's lying to you. He's lied to you. He told you Shokin wasn't prosecuting Burisma. He was so successful. He had just claimed the assets of the actual co-founder of Burisma. He's a liar.
Okay, so anybody who's in this dumb idiot Manar's chat.
I want to understand, why is he corrupt?
Let me speak. I want to speak to your. I want to speak to your chat right now. Okay. Anybody who is dumb enough to be listening to this idiot in their chat, I want you to just Google IMF EU Viktor Shokin and just tell me what you find. Okay. He says there's no evidence.
Okay,
Go
we
ahead.
looked it up.
Fact check me and fact check him. You will find.
Can I say what?
You will find statements from the IMF testifying to this man's corruption, Viktor Shokin. You will find documents. You will find documents from the EU claiming that this guy is corrupt. You will find support from Republicans in Congress supporting this move.
Don't lie to my people.
I'm not,
lie to your viewers.
Anybody in your audience can Google this stuff right now and
you're a liar.
they can find
because
what
I'm
they
asking
find.
you to provide the evidence and you can't. You went to the IMF to say,
I did, and you doubted it.
consensus
I did, and you doubted
he was
it.
corrupt. I asked you, okay, what's the evidence he was corrupt? And then you actually claimed that he wasn't even prosecuting Burisma, which is a lie. You're a liar. Okay, go ahead and read the IMF report itself and say the evidence why he was actually corrupt. I'll tell you why he is corrupt according to the Democrats, because he's so successful at actually suing Burisma and the oligarch, the co-founder of Burisma, I forget his name. He was so successful, he had actually been able to capture his assets, and he forced that guy to leave the country, the oligarch, and that's why he was corrupt according to the Democrats, guys. He's corrupt according to the this is why he will never ever tell you the evidence. There's an article on my screen
right now. There's an article on
he won't show you the evidence because he doesn't have evidence.
It's literally on my screen right now. This is a demand from the IMF for Ukraine reform, which included ousting Viktor Shokin. This is the IMF. It's on my screen right now.
Or what? Why was he corrupt?
This is the IMF demanding Ukrainian reform on corruption, which included ousting Viktor Shokin. It's on my screen right now.
So suing and charging and being successful, charging the biggest energy company that could possibly be the most corrupt company in all of Ukraine.
There's no evidence that he was investigating Burisma.
Evidence of
There's
going
no
against
evidence
corruption?
of this. There's no evidence that he was investigating
There's no
Burisma.
evidence that Burisma is founded by an oligarch, Ukrainian oligarch that has
There's no evidence that Viktor Shokin was investigating
Burisma.
Burisma. If you want to look up EU statement on Viktor Shokin, let me put this on my screen. You just accuse me of not having any evidence. Okay, so let's find out. Okay.
That's crazy. So now you're gonna say that Viktor Shokin wasn't successful. That's why he was fired. That's crazy. That's crazy.
You just
so
asked
was
me
he
to,
successful or was he not successful?
You just asked me to show you evidence that these international bodies supported ousting Shokin, and I'm showing you, and you're just ignoring it because you're an idiot.
Go ahead, show me.
So this is from the Wikipedia article right here. Shokin was formally dismissed in a parliamentary vote on 29 March 2016. The European Union praised Shokin's dismissal due to a lack of tangible results, you dumb of his office's investigations, and also because people in Shokin's office were themselves being investigated. Following his dismissal, Shokin went into retirement. So this is both the IMF. And do you want me to look up? Okay, so now I can look up the Republicans in Congress who supported Viktor Shokin being ousted at the time. Okay.
Okay, look at this. Shokin's office won a court order to seize Zloshinsky's
Are you denying the things that I
property.
put on my screen? Are you denying the things that I put on my screen? You asked me to show you evidence. I showed you evidence.
Can I read something? Shokin's office won a court order to seize Zloshinsky's property.
Are you denying? Are you denying that the IMF? Are you denying?
Can I read? Can I read this and then I'll tell you whatever you want?
Just asked, but you asked me. You asked me to show you evidence of this thing, and I showed you the evidence, and now you're like, oh, I didn't.
Okay.
Republican senators. Here's an article from 2019. Republican senators echoed Biden in urging Ukrainian president to reform Prosecutor General's office. You understand this?
Okay. So
you understand this? It was a bipartisan effort in Congress.
I get it. I'm destroying you. I'm destroying you, and you're getting really hurt. Just relax, okay? So let me respond to your claim. Can you go back? I want you to actually go back to that actual part and highlight it again, because it says that he was fired because he didn't bring results. Now I'm going to actually go against that claim, and I'm going to show you that he was bringing results. Look, it says here. Don't interrupt, please. I know you're going to interrupt because I'm winning. I'm destroying you, Hutch. Shokin's office won a court order to seize Zloshinsky's property on February 2nd, 2016. The Kiev Post reported. At the time, Shokin was fired on March 29, purportedly due to his own corruption. So at the same time, the actual proof that you're saying that he had lack of of results. The same time, it was that same month that he was fired, he had just won a huge court order to seize Zloshinsky's property, which is the co-founder of Burisma. So the idea that what is it? Is he corrupt because he's going actual corrupt and he's actually charging corrupt oligarchs? Is he actually lacking of results while he's actually winning cases and seizing properties and assets of this co-founder and of the actual corrupt company? Or what is it? Or is it just because Hunter Biden and Joe Biden didn't like him? Which one is it? Because every time you make a claim, I'm destroying your claim. Is it the lack of results? Because there was no lack of results. He actually won the seizure, the actual complete case, and he was seizing more assets so he can create more documents and more investigations. So Hutch, which one is it? Is he actually corrupt, or because he actually dealt with one of the biggest corrupt companies in the world when you guys fired him, or is it that he had lack of results because he actually won that case? Which one is it?
So there was a 2016 letter from the Senate. There was a 2016 letter from the Senate Ukraine caucus. It was signed by Republican Senators Rob Portman, Mark Kirk, and Ron Johnson, praising the effort to oust Viktor Shokin. So the claim that I made earlier that you said wasn't true was that the EU, the IMF, and Senate Republicans all backed the play to try to oust Viktor Shokin. You said all of that was a lie. I've just shown you evidence that all three of these things are true. And
well,
this, to me,
keep presenting the
this
Democratic,
to me, this, I let you speak. I let you speak, right? I let you speak, right? I let you speak, right? I let you speak for a little bit, right? Okay, so
sure.
So in order for your theory of why this guy was fired, Shokin, in order for that to be correct, you would necessarily need all of these massive international institutions, plus these senators, Republican senators. I guess they were all trying to protect Hunter Biden in your mind.
Can I actually make an argument for this? So when the Bureau of Labor Statistics came up with these botched numbers, and I actually decided not to believe them, and I actually created my own third-party investigation, was I a misinformation peddler, or was I the one on the side of the truth? Which one was I?
Where are you from, by the way?
I'm a Syrian. I'm a king of earth. I'm the Syrian, the master race. Continue.
I don't know I don't care about your third-party investigation.
Demolish anyone in the world. Never in my life did I meet a Syrian that's on the par of anyone else. They're above average.
My dad could probably beat your dad up, though.
Your dad? Oh, well, yeah. How about me and you? How about, no, I don't think you can ever beat my dad.
First of all, 1v1 Rust. 1v1 Rust. Let's go. Intervention Rust. Let's go.
Faster than yours.
Intervention Rust. Let's go.
Oh, man, my dad is so freaking fast. How tall is your dad?
6'5", bitch. How tall is your dad?
I mean, he's
why do you think I'm so? Why do you think I'm so tall?
How tall are you? How tall are you?
Why do you think I'm so tall and I have a dick like a sequoia, motherfucker? What's up?
How tall are you?
I'm 6'3". How tall are you?
Yeah, I'm 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, bro. That's what I thought.
I'd still get you, bro. Unless you can sit on me, I'd still get you.
I'll wrap you up like a spider, bro. I got long limbs. I'll f you up.
Man, the problem is I lived with a 6'3" my whole life. That was my older brother, so be careful. Well, how much do you weigh? 170, 160?
199, but I'm trying to lose weight, okay? Because it all went to my stomach.
You might actually my brother is 6'2" and he's like 150. It's crazy. He's really
What were the other points you were trying to make about how like Donald Trump is great and Biden sucks?
So yeah, so Viktor Shokin.
Let's just move past that because I don't think we're gonna agree on this. Yeah.
That's fine. I just don't believe you can actually prove corruption, but let's move on.
Okay.
Because it seems like he was actually fighting corruption. Anyways, let's move on. I think Destiny and all the Democrats are kind of hypocritical in order. They really, do you hate Biden? I actually really believe that all the Democrats really hate Biden because he forced you guys to change your whole narrative completely. Is that true or false?
I don't hate him. I'm frustrated with him right now, but I don't hate him. No.
Yeah, but it's almost like everything that the Democrats ever stood for, Biden completely demolished. The Democrats stood for the law and order.
I don't know about that.
Well, Democrats stood for law and order. Biden apparently is above law and order. The Democrats stood for.
Do you support? I mean, what? Because are you talking about the pardon? Okay, so like, do you support Donald Trump pardoning Roger Stone, for example?
Yeah. So look. Actually, I think the authority of the president to pardon is absolute and it's complete. So it's unquestionable.
Including Biden.
Yes, you're right. It's actually and it's not actually
next topic, I suppose.
It's not unconstitutional. Okay. Now, so it's actually completely legal.
I agree, by the way.
To do that.
I agree. The president has broad pardon authority. I'm just saying, if
it's
you're
insane. It's insane. I was looking into it. Even Biden today, if he wants to stop the pardon, he can't.
You might be right about that. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying, like, if you have a problem with Biden's pardon, then I would be curious to see, like, how do you feel about Trump pardoning, Jeanine Pirro's husband for tax evasion?
So let me explain to you. So it seems to be because the presidents were very weary, because they do have absolute power. You agree with me? I mean, that's absolute power. They can pardon anyone.
Pretty much, yeah. There's a question of like if they can pardon themselves, but yeah, they can pardon anyone. Yeah.
Well, the Supreme Court kind of dealt with that question because they don't need to, as long as they can claim it's official proceedings. They don't need a pardon, right?
They're immune. They didn't address that question. That's an open question. If he can pardon
my
himself.
Understanding is that's why the Democrats were mad, was the Supreme Court actually gave complete immunity to any presidential procedures.
No, he doesn't get absolute immunity. It's not absolute immunity. You can still be criminally charged after the fact.
Outside of official procedures.
Yeah, but there's a question about like what is considered official procedures or whatever, or official acts. And so like there's some things that fall in official acts and there's others that don't. And so it's not.
So it seems. Okay, perfect. So, but this is affordable to the president. I mean, he's always going to be targeted. I mean, we've seen the assassination attempts. I mean, he's the #1 person in all of America. So if we just allow people to prosecute him left and right, I mean, he's going to never go to sleep. So
those prosecutions are over. Okay? Those are over. All those cases are going to go away. So
I'm just I know. In general, we have to give immunity to these presidents because if not, they will be prosecuted till forever.
Do you think, for example, so let's use the example that the lawyers on the Dem side made when it comes to immunity. So entertain a hypothetical for me. So if Donald Trump ordered SEAL Team 6 to murder his political opponent the day before an election, do you think he should have immunity for that?
No, 100% no.
Okay, so there should be limits then, right?
100%, you're right. There should be limits. Now, the problem is, even if me and you agree on them, maybe the lawyers won't. So it's going to be a very hard conversation for me to dive into with you, right?
Well, what was the other point? You wanted to make these other points about how, like, what?
No. It's not about immunity. It's about the pardon. So let's continue with the pardon. So get away from the immunity a little bit. So the pardon, so you agree with me, it's absolute power, it's absolute, it's insane authority. So it seems like what happened throughout history, that even though these presidents had absolute power to pardon all of their family members, every single human being they've ever met, seems like they've committed extreme discretion when coming up with these pardonings. It's extreme. They either, like Trump had to give good reasons for every single pardon, and he just didn't go willy-nilly. Now he did do a lot of pardons. You're right. He did do more pardons than Biden.
What was his good reason to pardon Charles Kushner, Jared Kushner's dad?
So here my argument is because
who was convicted of witness tampering, tax evasion, conspiracy.
I get it.
I get it. What's the good reason there?
I'm not gonna know. It's probably a personal conviction. And maybe he believed the evidence wasn't clear. I don't know what it is. Maybe he believed he served the time necessary and he doesn't want him to serve anymore.
Or maybe he gave pardons to people that he likes, right?
Sure. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, but do you believe? Do you agree with me that even though he pardoned 100 plus, he still, because the authority is so overwhelmingly powerful, he actually still went to the pardons with discretion, because he could have pardoned 1 million plus, right?
What is this logic? Sure. Yes.
Come on.
It could have been worse.
Play with me a little bit.
He could have pardoned 1 million people. That's true, I guess.
Okay. So here's the thing. So my argument is, if it's such strong authority, seems like every president before Biden took extreme discretion and care when committing to that authority and creating precedent with that authority. Except for some reason, Biden unprecedentedly creates a complete general pardon extending almost 11-year period for any crimes against the United States of America, or any collusion against the United States of America. Unprecedented. Show me one other pardon in the history of the world, of all of America, that looked like this. So the idea that Joe Biden was okay with using his authoritarian absolute power to go and create an unprecedented change in the
Roger Stone,
now
Paul
he created
Manafort.
the precedent for Trump.
Roger Stone, Paul Manafort. Donald Trump pardoned 2 people that were criminally involved in his enterprises. So he didn't pardon them because he thought the cases were wrong. He just gave them pardons.
I know, but you agree with me. Look, if he just pardoned, look, you have to understand what the argument is. If me and you, we would have never talked if he just said, I'm pardoning. There's the DOJ is prosecuting my son unfairly, which is crazy that he did that because he just destroyed all claims the Democrats had that their DOJ was not unfairly prosecuting Trump.
To you,
So
let's
let's
see what happens with Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel. We'll have a conversation about corrupt DOJ influence in a year, and we'll see how that holds up. Okay.
But you have to agree with me. The DOJ is holding on a lot of evidence, and they're not prosecuting Hunter, and that seems to be.
I don't agree with you. It was good talking with you. We'll do it again sometime.
No,
okay.
One more second.
No, I'm done. Let's go back to the thing.
If you were doing things like that, you absolutely deserve to be in jail for that. And it goes back to an idea. You look at each case individually and you decide based on each case individually before you do a pardon. That's what I'm in favor of. It's not insane to say I would want to look at each case to see what they actually did compared to what the government lied and said they did. There's a big difference.
Okay, hang on, please. I'm going to bring in Lindy Lee.
Is it on your beeper?
Hang on a second.
Is it on your beeper you're going to say?
Hang on.
Read your beeper again.
Hang on. I'm going to bring in Lindy
Ben's
Lee.
also a bitch,
I'm bringing in
that's what it
Lindy
says.
Lee, a member of the DNC Finance Committee, who's been highly critical of the Harris campaign. Lindy, good to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, where are the Democrats?
It's the goalpost
Lindy? I mean, after the
that
Joe
entire
Biden
conversation, I am totally destroying you.
pardon, this is probably the last thing Democrats would have wanted on God's earth.
I'm going to have to agree with you. This is 11 years. The pardon covered 11 years. It was sprawling. And I think, the next one we should watch for is possibly him pardoning James Biden. Because 11 years not only covered, his presidency, but also his VP time and also Hunter's time during Burisma. And it's just so incredibly ironic. And I'm speaking as a Democrat. That even Democrats and members of the intelligence community said that laptop was just a made-up story. Now, in one fell swoop, Biden basically proved his haters right, that there was something in that laptop. And I hate to say it, but it's just true. This is just a black eye to his legacy.
And by the way, on the laptop, let's not forget the New York Post had the laptop scoop, and liberal-controlled big tech at the time, including Twitter, Facebook and others, they suppressed the
notorious liberal Jack from Twitter, who's like just a standard tech billionaire libertarian.
That story from being published. In fact, hang on. In fact, the New York Post, because I write columns for the New York Post, for 2 weeks before that election, their whole Twitter account was suspended because they refused to take down a legitimate, true story, as it turned out. That is an appalling attack on free speech, an abuse of the First Amendment, and actually it could have swung the election. Who knows? If that laptop story had come out and been properly forensically examined by the media, it could have tipped the election Trump's way. 40,000 votes.
Talking about it.
40,000 votes in the end decided that election. So hang on, Lindy, I'm still with Lindy. I'm still with Lindy, Francesca. Wait one moment, please.
Just talk about the laptop.
Just play me your buzzer for a moment. Thank you. Lindy, here's my point, is that it's not just about Hunter Biden being dragged into something. The laptop contained evidence of crimes, and it was suppressed from the media in that 2-week period before that election. And that is a much bigger picture than whether Hunter Biden got pulled into politics.
Right. And I think this is not just an act of love. It wasn't just a father's compassion. It was almost perhaps even an act of...
Who was president in 2020? Who was president again? Remind me, was it Joe Biden that was president?
Self-preservation.
What was the Joe Biden campaign requesting that Twitter delete? What did the Twitter files show us? What were they asking the Twitter as a company to take down? Pictures of Hunter Biden's bulbous, sinewy penis. They didn't ask them to take down unflattering stories. They didn't ask them to take down the New York Post story. Contrast that with Donald Trump, who asked Twitter to delete a post from Chrissy Teigen calling Donald Trump a pussy ass bitch. Let me say that again. The Trump administration, when he was in power, asked Twitter to delete a Chrissy Teigen tweet where she called him a pussy ass bitch. A chilling impact on the First Amendment, right?
because we don't know what happened in those 11 years. It's covered everything from 2014 to December 1st, 2024. So this whole thing is gigantic. And I think in the next couple of weeks, we're going to see more pardons coming out. I think this is really just the tip of the iceberg. My guess would be that he might even pardon people who were involved in Hunter's business. Who knows? I'm guessing the next person might be
Hunter for
What happened to
8
you?
years.
All right, let's bring in Francesca, if she's put her buzzer down. Francesca.
8 years. Where are the charges?
There are none.
Statute of limitations, bro.
They started the
I am
investigation
more-
8 years ago when they had the laptop. What do you mean statute of limitations?
It wasn't 8 years, but whatever.
You go back to when the
The fact
crimes were
that
committed.
Hunter Biden sat on a call and he said, "I'm here with my father. You know, we expect you to follow
Thank you.
through." He basically shook down a Chinese business
Where's the
person.
charges?
He didn't say I'm here with my father. We expect you to follow through. That she just added that last part.
Oh my God.
It's true that like there were occasions that so Hunter Biden's like business partner, who was like with him day in and day out for like 8 years, testified to the Republican-led congressional subcommittee that he never heard, ever heard Hunter Biden talking about business with his father, ever. This was like the Republican star witness, okay? This was Hunter Biden's business partner, testified he never heard Hunter Biden involve his father in any of his business dealings ever. Not once in the several years that he was with this guy day in and day out.
He said it time and time
Where are the
again.
charges?
Can I ask you a question? Do you
And
care?
even,
Does anyone here care
even a
that
venerable
Jared
medical
Kushner?
media institution like CBS said that 10% to the big guy can't be anybody but Joe Biden. And I hate saying this.
Oh, I didn't know
I
CBS was
brings
part of the
me no
DOJ.
joy to acknowledge
Oh,
it,
is